A huge sailing yacht sank off the coast of Porticello, Palermo at dawn on August 19th. There were 22 people on board. 15 were rescued and 7 died. Among these, we also find the British billionaire Mike Lynch. Initially, it was thought that the cause was a whirlwind, but as we will see, the situation is more complex. This story has been defined as a little Costa Concordia, although perhaps a better parallel is that with the Titan submarine, due to several elements in common. Since so many of you have asked us, let's take stock of the situation, seeing what happened, what the possible causes are, and what the characteristics of this record-breaking vessel were. Let's first see how the Bayesian, the vessel in question, was made. It is a large sailing and motor yacht flying the English flag. It was in fact 56 meters long, 11.5 meters wide, and had an aluminum mast 75 meters high, the tallest of this type in the world. The vessel was designed by the naval architect Ron Holland and built by the Italian Perini Navi. It was launched in 2008 in Viareggio and renovated in 2020. The hull is made of aluminum, as is its superstructure, and under the hull there is a movable keel, a structure that helps give stability to the boat by offering water resistance. Pay attention to this aspect because it will also be useful to us later. On board the boat there is space for 22 people, 12 guests and 10 crew members. On the day of the disaster, the ship was fully booked. On board there was in fact the British billionaire Mike Lynch, nicknamed the English Bill Gates, who, together with his family, had organized a prize trip for his collaborators. In fact, in June he had been acquitted of 15 charges of fraud, and therefore, to celebrate, he took a boat tour. Having said that, let's move on to the news and see what exactly happened on the night of August 19th. On the night of August 19th, the Bayesian was in the harbor about 300 meters from the port of Porticello, in the province of Palermo. Around 4 o'clock in the morning, however, the area was hit by a violent wave of bad weather, and we can see this clearly from the images captured by some surveillance cameras. The area was hit by a very strong storm and intense rain, but above all very violent gusts of wind. Witnesses on site speak of a tornado, a hypothesis that cannot be ruled out even if a downburst seems more likely. We are talking about a very strong localized air current that falls directly from the storm cloud and crashes to the ground at speeds that can even reach 200 kilometers per hour. Unlike tornadoes that have circular currents, downbursts produce linear winds, like those we see in surveillance footage. See how the umbrellas all fall in the same direction? This would suggest the absence of circular currents, probably indicating the presence of a downburst. Also, because if it had been a tornado, to create those effects it would have had to be large, and at that point it would have been clearly identified by the surveillance cameras. In any case, what is certain is that the boat found itself in a blender of ascending and descending currents at very high speeds. The interesting thing is that 100 meters away there was another ship, the Sir Robert Baden-Powell flying the Dutch flag, which however did not have any particular problems. But how is this possible? Well, we shouldn't be surprised, because both downbursts and tornadoes can very well cause massive damage here and do nothing 100 meters away. But how did the actual shipwreck go? It occurred at 4:30 in the morning, and we can see it from this video taken from a surveillance camera of a villa a few hundred meters away. If you look, there's a row of lights here, and this is the mast of the boat. At this moment, it is still upright, but soon you will see that it will start to descend in this direction. Here, you can already see that there is bad weather with heavy rain. The ship is slowly and gradually tilting. All the lights on the mast are about to go out, and soon we will almost completely not be able to see it anymore. You see that it is gradually getting darker and darker. It is tilting more and more until it finally disappears and sinks to the bottom of the area in less than a minute. The crew still had time to fire a flare. Initially, Sir Robert Baden-Powell, the one that was nearby, rushed to offer first aid. Shortly thereafter, the Coast Guard and firefighters also intervened. Of all the people on board, 15 managed to take shelter in lifeboats and were rescued immediately, while the 7 people remaining were found dead. Among these are Mike Lynch himself, his 18-year-old daughter Hannah, and the finance magnate Jonathan Bloomer, president of Morgan Stanley International. The survivors of the yacht have been placed at the Domina Zagarella Hotel in Santa Flavia, while the Porticello Coast Guard is carrying out the investigations ordered by the judicial authority. The hull is now located at about 49 meters deep, about half a mile from the coast. It appears to have been overturned on its right side, and the cave divers of the fire brigade and the Coast Guard are busy recovering the missing people. 2 days after the shipwreck, there is still no certainty about the exact dynamics of the disaster and what may have caused it. There is still very little information made public, and the investigations have only just begun. At first, it was thought that bad weather had broken the ship's mast, thus unbalancing the entire structure. However, the divers found the mast still intact and attached to the ship, so this possibility was discarded. Let's therefore give an overview of the hypotheses that the Termini Emery's prosecutor's office is working on and which have been presented by sector experts in these 2 days. A first possibility is that the very tall Bayesian mast offered enough resistance to the air to cause the entire yacht to capsize, even with the sails closed. Obviously, I repeat, this is not something confirmed, but on the contrary, it is only one of the hypotheses that are currently being evaluated by the authorities. In fact, the disaster could also have been caused by a malfunction or failure to activate the safety system that seals the ship, or, even if it seems unlikely at the moment, a collision with the Secca del Formiche located nearby. An analysis by the Financial Times also proposed the hypothesis that the mobile keel I spoke about earlier was not completely extended. In fact, the mobile keel serves, a bit like a sail does with air, to offer resistance to the water while keeping the boat in balance. When the keel is deployed, the boat is more stable, while when it is raised, it is less so. The keel may not have been lowered due to lack of time, given that downbursts are phenomena that arrive without warning, or due to a technical failure, or even due to a decisional error on the part of the commander. Another possibility is that the yacht took on water, perhaps due to glass that broke on the side parts of the hull. This would actually explain how the Bayesian sank so quickly. One of the reasons why the story is arousing so much interest on the web and also in the international media is linked not so much to the dynamics of the disaster itself, but to the main passenger of the yacht, namely Mike Lynch. In fact, as we anticipated, he was celebrating with his collaborators the acquittal on 15 charges of fraud. During this case, Stephen Chamberlain, Lynch's deputy and former top manager of the IT company Autonomy, was also a co-defendant. And a few hours after the shipwreck, it was learned that Chamberlain had just died in England after being hit by a car in last Saturday evening. This coincidence is giving rise to all kinds of theories, for example hypothesizing that the 2 deaths are connected and were not accidental, or that Lynch faked his own death to escape without leaving a trace. There is currently no evidence that can definitively correlate the 2 events. Let's always remember that in cases like this, especially when there are people who have unfortunately lost their lives, establishing what happened and why is the task of the competent authorities and not of the media hype. Alright guys, thanks for following me up to this point. I hope this video has been helpful in providing a more complete overview of what happened. Remember that, since the situation evolves day by day, all updates will be published both on our social media and on our magazine www.geopop.it. We'll see each other in the next video here on Geopop Everyday Science.